Hey, welcome back to the channel. So here we are to discuss Owen Farrell's disciplinary hearing, where he had his red card reduced to a yellow, and it's caused quite the uproar. It's become one of those where were you when you heard moments. As for myself, my brother emailed me, messaged me last night before I was going to bed and said, surprise, surprise, Farrell's red card has been changed to a yellow and he's not going to get banned. And I couldn't believe it at first, to be honest with you, because everyone was expecting him to get a ban. It was just a matter of how long it would be and how much of the World Cup he would miss. And I thought it was a joke, so I went online, checked it, and no, it's true. And this has really set the cat amongst the pigeons. And I feel like we've got to talk about it on this channel. So yeah, here we go. So first of all, let's get into the actual decision itself. From the statement that was released, it would seem that mitigating circumstances were taken into account. Namely the fact that Jamie George was semi-involved in the tackle. He pushed or had some physical contact with Basham. Basham changed his body height, and then Farrell accidentally smashed him in the face with his shoulder. So this is absolute rubbish. Anyone who's been watching rugby for the last 4 or 5 years knows that that's an instant red card. All the England players knew it, all the Wales players knew it, everyone in the stadium knew it. You know, Farrell himself knew it too. And for them to say that that wasn't a red card is absolutely ridiculous. So their argument for reducing the red to a yellow is patently false. Everyone knows it. And this is where we get into the title of the video, which is utter contempt. So this is point number one. This is the first time they show utter contempt, the disciplinary panel, the Warren Commission of International Rugby. Utter contempt to the intelligence of the world rugby community, the people who actually love rugby. Every one of us knows in every country around the world that that was a red card, you know, but they're going to gaslight us and tell us that it wasn't. So they think they can get away with it as well, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. So that is absolute disrespect to every person who pays money and supports this sport. Absolutely disgusting. So utter contempt towards us, people who love the actual game. The hypocrisy that is exhibited in this decision is unbelievable. And I got a good definition of hypocrisy. Hypocrites are those who apply to others the standards that they refuse to accept for themselves. And I think that sums this up perfectly. So for the last 4, 5, 6 years, the rugby watching public has stomached a lot of decisions where you thought it may go either way, because we've all grown up playing rugby differently. But we knew it was for the greater good. Yeah, we were willing to support these decisions to protect our players, our children who are going to play this sport, hopefully, you know. And we sucked it up because we knew it was for the greater good. And then for them to do this now is spitting in the face of the fans who have put up with these cards and these decisions for the last 4, 5, 6 years. So that's a contempt towards us. Second point. They've also shown utter contempt for the people who are suffering with serious neurological diseases and complications, you know, as a result of their involvement in our sport. And it is our sport, you know, whatever they may say. And it's absolutely disgraceful that they've devalued the suffering of these people in order to protect one player and one team. And it shows absolute contempt towards the sacrifices they've made in their life and ongoing, continuing sacrifices that they are making, you know, living with these problems that are a result of, you know, head collisions ultimately and concussion syndromes over a long period of time. They've shown utter contempt to their own refereeing teams on the pitch, One of the rationales as well for making this decision was that they introduced the bunker system, and then they said it wasn't effective in making a legitimate decision on the day, and they've had to go back and rejig it, to make the correct decision. So why have it in the first place? And they've just introduced this before World Cup. Most people was kind of supportive of it because the ultimate aim was to increase the speed of the game. But the bunker system now is dead in the water, DOA, because it can be overturned after the fact because they didn't have enough time. That's the whole point, is giving them more time in order to make a correct decision, so the pressure is off the referee on the field, so the game can play on. So their own referees they've thrown under the bus. Utter contempt for players who have lost World Cup positions, their financial livelihood, and everything else that goes with it, because they have been banned, and they've accepted it, and some of them are out of the World Cup. There's been some this summer, the Japanese guy, the open side, springs to mind, but there's been others, they have all accepted their bans with dignity and said, yeah, okay, we understand it, again, it's for the greater good of the sport, and we're willing to accept our bans, But in this case, no, we are more important than the health of the game. That brings me on to the final point, which is the future of rugby as we know it, including the grassroots, the participation levels, all of those things. If a mum or dad are looking at this and thinking, well, head contact like that is perfectly acceptable in the sport of rugby, they're going to let their kids play that game, do you think? Basham's off, he's injured, HIA, concussion. So this is going to have long-term ramifications unless it's sorted out. And how can it be sorted out? Again, this comes now into the area of professionalism. These are all professional people, supposedly, Were this disciplinary panel professional people? Who are they? You know what I mean? Where did they come from? I think Australia, that they were all from Australia, but it's not an old boys club, or shouldn't be anymore, It should be all transparent. All of these people should be hired, and it should be, open for analysis. But it seems like this disciplinary panel is just a few of the old boys thrown together, and then, buy them a couple of pints after the game and they'll change their decision. These are people's livelihoods now you have. This is a professional era. So let's treat it professionally. So as you may have gathered, I'm not very happy about this decision, and I hope it gets rectified before the World Cup, because it's going to have long-term effects. I mean, from what I've seen, people are up in arms over it, and it's pretty shocking. And something needs to be done. Otherwise, you're going to drive people away from the sport. That's the bottom line. It's going to be hard to win back people if this is not overturned and something is not done about it. And I mean, deep, fundamental, systemic changes need to be introduced, because at the moment this system, and this another thing they've shown contempt for, their own disciplinary system, has been completely undermined. So yeah, bit of a rant. I'm not one for ranting usually, but I think this warrants it and needs to be said. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments if you made it this far, and yeah, just let me know in the comments. All right, cheers.